Whether you remember him for his portrayal of Jesus of Nazareth or playing Mark Williams in Holby City, Robert Powell is one of Britain's best-loved actors. He spoke with YourKentTV at Leeds Castle. Robert, you've had a very varied career, and in fact it's thanks to my eldest son that I understand one of your earliest. You see your eyebrows already raising like that. You wonder what I'm going to say, aren't you? 1966, The Italian Job. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
It was.
Yeah.
So that just proves the longevity as far as your career is concerned. An 18-year-old boy, as soon as I said him, he's not thinking Holby or anything, he's thinking The Italian Job.
And that's extraordinary, isn't it?
So that has
Yeah.
actually...
I was only about 3.
Of course. It started...
I looked 3 anyway in the film, if you look at it. Yeah.
But, I mean, that shows you the diversity as well of your career. It's gone through a huge change, and I suppose thanks to television and things moving on, it must be quite interesting for you. Had you imagined that you'd still be, I suppose, in such a high-profile job today?
No.
What made you decide to become an actor?
I think it was anything I was good at. As a child, when I was about 6 or 7, I was kind of better than my peers. Okay, albeit there were only other 6 or 7-year-olds at primary school, but I was kind of more fluid than they were, or fluent in reading and in performing. I was a right little show-off because I was very shy. That's the key to actors. Actors need sometimes to act because it's the only way they can express themselves, because they're mostly very closed people. And you learn over a period of time not to be closed, and you know how to pretend to be very unshy, but it doesn't alter the fact you're very shy. Anyway, so that's how I started as a kid. And then it seems silly not to... if you are good at something, you've got to pursue it. I mean, if I was good at metalwork, I would have done that, but thank God I was acting.
I know it's one of those trades that I guess, even through my work, I've heard people say, when are you going to get a proper job?
Get a proper job, when am I going to grow up? That's the other one.
But it is a key, isn't it, I think, you say about being shy, acting, performing. It's a great leveller for kids as well, because it does give you that confidence boost.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, if you're not... I was not a bad sportsman. I could play most things, but I was only average. I was only second 11. But in acting, I was first 11. So it seemed sensible to do it.
And absolutely, you followed your heart in doing that, and certainly your career has seen some great changes. If there were one highlight in it, what would it be?
The highlight of my career? Do you know something? And when I have conversations with people and they mention work and say, when you did this, and I deny that I was in it, and they have to produce documentary evidence, and I go, good grief, I'd forgotten all about it. I sometimes can't remember what I've done, it's been so long. And I've deliberately ducked and weaved and never... I've acted to please me, not to please other people. So I do work that I enjoy. And sometimes it's not the right job. I mean, from the outside, my agent raised an eyebrow and said, oh, God, you're not going to do that, are you? You'd be much better off at the RSC or the National or whatever. But a funny old film in South America suddenly seemed a bit more fun, even though it occasionally turned into a disaster, but that was part of the fun. Highlight? Do you know, I don't think I've got one. I've enjoyed 99% of it. Occasionally, some things less than others, but I wasn't able to foresee the problems. Do you know, I don't think I've got them. Working with Jasper, obviously, we worked together for nearly 10 years, and we never stopped laughing.
This is in The Detectives.
Yeah. And at the end, when we finished the show, which he and I finished, much to our producer's chagrin, that we decided that we did 5 years of series together, and we both privately planned that we wouldn't do any more. And we said we'd agree to stop, and stop when we were ahead. So when the BBC commissioned another 5, we pulled another series we pulled out and said no. But when we finished, the crew, who we'd worked with all that time, virtually the same crew, all stood up at a little leaving party and said that they had never, ever had so much fun. They had never, because we laughed. The directors understood that each day of a filming day, we would need maybe 45 minutes to an hour when nothing would happen, no filming would take place. It would just be hysteria as we tried to keep a straight face, which we never did.
A very good relationship between you and Des McCarthy watching that. I mean, it was something that people perhaps did raise an eyebrow, literally thinking, how doing that, you know.
I've always done comedy. As a young actor, I was always the kind of character comedian. I was never a straight actor, and I fell into that accidentally. And it stayed with me for a while. But thank God, because now that I can't do young leading men anymore, I've still got the other stuff to fall back on.
You are a leading man in Holby. I mean,
Yes, I know, it's lovely. I enjoy that show.
Hard work though, isn't it? I mean, hard graft, I'd imagine, because it's sort of an ongoing series the whole time.
Yeah, we shoot, we make now, in fact, it's just been increased. We used to make 52 shows a year. We're now making 55 a year, of an hour each. And we do that in the space of 50 weeks. We have 2 weeks off at Christmas. Yeah, it's very, 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 very complicated because we do lots of shows at once.
So certainly as far as television is concerned, from The Detectives, which was 20 years ago, I suppose?
No, not as long. We finished The Detectives. The last one was, 97. It's only about 12 years ago.
And to today, you can see television itself has changed hugely, and the way things are actually done. And obviously that you've had to adapt to that as well, as far as your work is concerned. Has it been a huge change for you?
No, not really. I mean, the only thing that's happened, obviously, is that now audiences are very much smaller. We have a hugely, we're in the top 10 in terms of audiences for television series. And we're up around 6 million people every Tuesday night, which is phenomenal. Because now, but when I started out with Too Much 40 years ago, we were doing 14 million people, and that was a successful series. But now, good is 5. And that's what most television series thrive on.
Your voice is well known as well, not only from television, but obviously listening to you narrate things, and hence the fact we're talking to you here at Leeds Castle today, because I
do a lot of narration.
You do. Wonderful, wonderful dulcet tones.
I really enjoy it. That's the other thing about my career as an actor, that I've managed to bob and weave and duck and dive, and doing that kind of presenting, being me rather than being a character, I've learnt how to do that, which is something that actors really mostly fight shy of, because it's not easy. As I say, the reason you become an actor is so that you can hide behind somebody else. It's not you. But I've kind of worked out a me that sort of pretend me that works and seems to be a real me. When I do it sounds very complicated, but I enjoy standing up as me and performing in front of an audience as me rather than as a character.
Presenting Robert Powell.
Yeah, and I've done a lot of it. And you kind of use role models like Aspel and people like that. And when I was when I started doing them, I remember at the Albert Hall, I was doing very little. I was just going on to announce one person. And I was with Eric Morecambe. And he said, "God, you're terrified, aren't you?" And I said, "This is a long time ago." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Come on, Robert." He said, "You know how to do this." He said, "Just pretend to be somebody else." And that's what I did. But who did I pretend on that day? I think Aspel I pretended to be. It worked, anyway.
Well, it's a great privilege to talk to you this afternoon. Thank you for being here in Kent, and we look forward to seeing you back again at Leeds Castle for the concert.
I'm looking forward. It's so long in the future.
It'll be here for you.
It'll happen, I know.
Christmas just round the corner.
Don't.
Thank you, Robert.
Pleasure.
Julie Maddocks talking with Robert Powell at Leeds Castle.